Time for Mr. Truck, reviewing the latest innovations for your truck and trailer.
Welcome, folks. This is Kent with MrTruck.com, and we're doing one of those Zooms from our bunker during the virus, trying to figure out how to do interviews, and I've got a special guest for you. Now, I've been, towing trailers for 40 years, and I have towed them with about every kind of hitch there is. And the hitch we're going to talk about here is the best I have seen. I think it's the strongest one out there, and we're going to go from that. So excuse the long hair. It's been 3 months since I was able to get out of the bunker and get a haircut. And so it's all good, but this should be interesting for you folks, and we'll try to educate you a few things you may not know now. But my special guest, I call him Mr. Hitch, but it's Carl Burkhalter. He is the founder and CEO of Geny Hitch, that indestructible hitch. Hey, welcome, Carl.
Hi, Ken. How are you doing?
Good, good. We're doing well. I hope you're surviving the worst of times now, the virus and everything.
We're all cooped up in the bunker as well, and I got out a little bit today, got here in my office, so to do an interview with you.
Well, that's cool. So we're socially distancing about, I don't know, 1,000 miles or two, but this is good. Now, there's some things I wanted to talk to you about, and since I call you Mr. Hitch, I go to you for advice and information because you're the one who can create unbelievable hitches, and I'm always tickled to use them. And one of the things, I know you're coming out with this new locking pin. Do you want to tell us about that?
So basically what we got is, we got a lot of people look at this and say, what can you do to a hitch pin that's different or new technology, if you will? Well, we've created a hitch pin that it can be used on any solid shank hitch, aluminum or steel, that is actually a hitch tightener built into the pin, believe it or not.
Cool.
So basically what happens is you put this, it's a three-piece pin. I don't know if you guys can see it here. Three-piece pin. It's got a sleeve with it. Basically, you put your shank in your truck, put this through the pinhole, slide this sleeve over it, and there's a nut that turns on here. And basically what happens on the inside of this is this sleeve expands as you push it in, grabs the inside of the hitch and pushes it over against your receiver. Oh. And you can literally torque this down. This is all heat treated, hardened, and it's got a chrome nickel finish on it where there's a little bit of a lubricity to it, if you will. And you turn it on and keep tightening it up till your hitch is as tight as can be. It won't loosen up.
Well, that's awesome, because I know I hear people are always talking about hitch pins when they ask me questions, and I don't hear the noise. I've always got my radio turned up too loud, but some people, they don't want to hear that thing rattling back there. Now, is there a lock for it too?
There will be. So basically what we're going to do with this now we got a patent filed on this and everything. It's a utility patent. So if you think you can copy it, that you may be in trouble later on, but right now we're patent pending on this deal here. So what we're going to do, we would extend this piece right here longer and use just a regular nut to jam this in, and then we'd put a lock on the end.
Well, that's good. That's good. The lock will be important because everybody wants to know that too, about how to lock that pin.
About this, Ken, if you put this on with a wrench, you may need a wrench to tighten this up tight. Then you will need tools to get it off. So think about somebody walking up to your truck thinking about stealing your hitch, and they'll look at this and they're like, how do they need a tool to get it off. So a wrench, any open-end wrench, 3/4 inch open-end wrench, or a adjustable wrench will work, and to get this off. So basically this would be tight, and then you turn this off a little bit, and you beat on this. That'll loosen your sleeve, and you turn it all the way off. Then you pull the sleeve out and pull your pin out.
Okay, well that's good. You know, that's I like that, and of course I like the the lock is something too. But now we use hairpin clips, and you guys have a really cool hairpin clip where you push it sideways and it slides on. Yeah, that's the best hair clip I've seen. But a lot of the times I worry about them hanging down, and I run through sagebrush and all kinds of crap,
right.
And you worry about that pin pulling out, and then what are you going to do? Your trailer's going to fall off. So
right. Exactly.
that's a concern too. Another thing I wanted to ask you about, and we're going to go over quite a few things. I mean, one of the big questions I have is about using these reducers on these trucks, and we'll go through some pictures and I'll ask you about that. But a lot of people too with campers, they want to put an extension on the hitch. And because that way they can get up into the camper in the back door, jump on that and go up and spread their trailer out. Now there's some things you got to look at when you're doing that about weights and tongue weights. And now can you explain to me, how that is with the leverage that you're creating?
Well, I mean, we basically kind of broke it down to, from a standard hitch that'll come out, let's say 8 inches from your pinhole and your ball center, okay? So the standard is 8 to 10 inches right in there. So any inch you go further will reduce your weight capacity about 4% on every inch.
Wow.
And we kind of broke it down that way.
Okay.
So let's say you start out with 2,000 pounds of tongue weight at 8 inches. And you go to 9 inches. So you have to reduce your tongue weight by about 4% for every inch you go.
Wow, some of those extensions are like 2 feet long.
Yeah, so
that's a big deal.
get down to zero pretty quick, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what people don't understand is that's also your payload. You're taking away from your payload, so that big sliding camper may have to be a small pop-up camper.
Right. Exactly.
A lot goes into that to be safe. But no, that's cool. Well, that's awesome. Well, let's get to some of these pictures, and then I'll drill you about them, and you can tell me how this stuff works. This first one.
Yes, I see the glider, the small torsion hitch.
Yeah, now that's one of your newest hitches.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The glider is like for lighter trailers, right?
Yeah, it's this one here specifically is designed for 7,000 pounds. Max payload. In other words, GVWR on the trailer.
Yeah.
7,000 pounds. So any tandem axle, 3,500 pound axle, that would be good for this one. And the a lot of our torsion flex hitches are really categorized by tongue weight. So, we say on this specific one here, your tongue weight could be anywhere from like, I think it's 400 pounds to 700 pounds. So there's a range you can be in. For ideal, operating on the torsion flex.
Okay, and then this is a single axle torsion flex, which with 4 rubbers in it.
Mm-hmm. It's got four rubber cords in it. I got one here that's broke apart that we can show you then on kind of how it works and all that.
Yeah, that's cool. If I can get back to the other picture, I don't want to shut this off, so I'm worried about it. But yeah, and this one here too, where the plate is or the ball is, I use these, and it tips up and you put the load on, and it levels out, and then you also put a weight distributing hitch where that ball is now.
It'll bolt onto that 4-bolt pattern there.
Yeah.
That you could put a weight distributing hitch on it.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let's go to this next picture. This is what the old pencil lock used to. You guys have that little block on top that holds the pencil down. And that was a flat bar there on the ball. And then, I use your adjustable hitches every week. And then your next round is this here, where you made all the ball shank and everything fit that round pencil hitch.
So now the pintle actually pintle actually sits in that little saddle there, basically.
Yeah.
And it doesn't jar, you know, bounce back and forth. So we used to have a lot of complaints with on the old style where the ring actually slid against the block, and then if you took off, it slid against the ball. So there's a little bit of play in there.
Yeah.
So we fixed that deal with this, we call it the pintle saddle, where the ring sits in there and it doesn't move back and forth like it used to.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so basically how this works is there's a press machine fit on this solid bar that goes through this whole thing, right? And our two arms attached to here, and there's a rubber cord in every corner here. It's a polyurethane, you know, cord in there that there's a process to installing that. You can't just push it in there. You have to, we use a process where we use liquid nitrogen to freeze it, squish it together, and then we freeze it, and then we put them in here, and then they expand back out to their original form. And that makes it, the whole thing tight. Then with these arms on here, with the torsion, you know, with weight, it'll actually create a suspension by turning this inner bar.
Oh yeah, pushed against those rubber rods, and those go all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
And people may not know what a horse trader axle is, but that's how most horse trader axles are, a torsion axle. And that is really cool. Now, how long is the warranty on the rubber in there?
We have a 5-year warranty on the rubber from the factory. And we have, because obviously rubber is not going to last forever. We know that. And we have an additional warranty that you can buy for $99. And it's a lifetime warranty on any parts in here that we'll replace for free any point in time.
Right. And so there's no maintenance on it. There's no grease search, no air, nothing you got to do. Okay.
Nothing like that.
Well, that's good. Well, you know, I've been around horse traders forever, and I've known some horse traders to go hundreds of thousands of miles. It always surprised me. And I know some people that pull horse traders cross country, and they'll do 200,000 miles, and they'll replace their axles every year. But on a hitch like this, it's going to be quite different. It could last forever by itself anyway.
No, just to give you a little bit of insight, we've actually done a dynamic test on this where we did 600,000 revolutions on this, turning it back, and it still worked fine after that. So
6,000 of them?
600,000.
That probably made your arms kind of hurt after a while.
We did it on a machine, right? So, you know, we basically worked the suspension, if you will. We pushed down on it and went it back and pushed down on it again. So that's how we did a test like that. And the rubber looked fine after that even.
Well, that's great. You know, and at the end of this video, we're going to show the 3D modeling of how that works, so you can kind of see the tubes going in, and that's really good. Well, that's only a minute long. We'll show that at the end. Well, let's get back to the hitches here, because I got a lot more questions. I'm going to push over to the next picture. But we're still talking about, you know, these hitches, and you make so many different sizes of hitches too. You go from, what is it? It's somewhere, well, yeah, 10,000 on a bumper pull, conventional, 10,000 pounds, 16,000 pounds, 21. And you have these giant ones that go on buses.
Yeah.
So you've got plenty here, but I'll get back to the pictures here so we can see that as we talk about it. Now that picture is the 2.5-inch shank, and it's got the block for the pencil hitch.
Right.
And you still see the same curvature we talked a little bit ago about how the pencil fits in there. And, you know, I use so many hitches, and what I've done over the years is I've got mostly 2-inch hitches, and then when I got to a Ford or a Chevy with the class 5 hitch, I put that receiver or the reducer from 2.5 to 2. You know, in Ford you can go all the way up to 3, and it's crazy. And you were telling me there's a shear pin problem and a few other things that happens when you use that reducer. So tell me how that works.
Well, basically what happens is if you go to a reducer sleeve, you're creating a space in between the hitch on the truck, the receiver on the truck and the solid shaft that goes in there. So, you know, by doing that, you're actually reducing your shear factor, if you will, because you're creating a 1/4 inch space in between both sides.
Uh-huh.
So your shear factor on the pin itself will go down or be less because of using a reducer sleeve.
Okay. Yeah, and that's is there a percentage or a weight on that?
Well, I mean, a lot of times, you know, when we test our hitches, if we use a 2.5 inch shank, we don't test them with a reducer sleeve. Like
Right.
the capacity on that hitch is without a reducer sleeve, and it's the shear factor of the actual 5/8 pin and the type of material we use. So, I mean, a lot of times we'll say, you know, if you reduce your shear factor by 10% by using a reducer sleeve, that may or may not be 100% accurate because we haven't really done any, you know, scientific testing on that, if you will.
Well,
But it does reduce it. We do know that. By how much, you know, percentage-wise, I just be honest, I don't really know. So
well, it makes sense. The small, you know, if you got too many connections on there that
because a shear, you think about a shear point on any type of pin or whatever it is, you know, side by side. That's a shear.
yeah.
Now, if you take it apart a 1/4 inch, that shear factor is reduced because you have a space in there now.
Yeah, and that's I worry about the pins amongst all these other things, and it makes a lot of sense. And so we quit using the reducers when you told me that.
Right.
You know, we got your 2.5 inch, and we'll probably end up getting a 3 inch when we do a little more Fords. But yeah, that all makes sense. And you guys make really good pins. Are they stainless steel? I know they're very heavy duty pins.
Stainless steel pins that we, you know, these are all tested to our weight capacities, and they all, you know, pass the test as far as that goes. But to go back to that reducer thing again, you're maybe not as apt to shear a pin than you are bending it. You're going to bend a pin much easier with the reducer sleeve. I just wanted to clear that up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And you know that too. Their reducers are a pain in the butt. You know,
Yeah.
GM and Ram, they put a little lip on there. So you just slide it in there and go. Ford, they don't. So it takes 3 hands to move the sleeve back and forth to try to get the holes lined up. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we quit using reducers. We're on top of things now. Also, I got that picture there. You can see how each square, well, in this case, it's 2.5 on a 2 inch shank. It's 2 inch, but each one separately. So it's like having 4 or 5 hitches all on there. They're welded together, so there's no way it's just going to break a pin and slide straight down. It's very well built. I mean, these things, you can see they're powder coated. That the shaft that goes into the receiver is solid metal. It's not hollow like you see in a lot of hitches out there. But that's really a good way to do it. You're the only hitch company I know that does box each one of them in. And there's the same hitch.
We have multiple different patents on all of this stuff, so we should be. If we're not, let me know.
Yeah, because I've got a lot of experience with the hitches, and these here, I mean, they're heavy duty, and that's awesome. And this picture here is that same hitch, but it shows you that we're getting into the torsion flexes. This is a torsion flex that bolts to the trailer, not the truck, which in some cases I really think that's a good way to go.
Right.
And of course, this one also has all the straps on it, so that's got, let's see, 4, 8, 16 straps on that hitch there, just like the goosenecks do.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good. Let's see from the next picture, hopefully. Well, there's the receiver that I use every week, just an adjustable receiver. And we use some with the torsion hitches on them also. And I think if you get a long enough shank, you can actually hide that ball, put a lock pin on that, and not keep moving that ball around. But
right. And it's a nice thing you show that like it is, that a lot of people don't understand. B&W markets this whole thing about toe and stow and all that. You can do the exact same thing on our hitch. You can tow the ball on the back side.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's good. Not everybody wants to touch greasy balls. You know how that is.
yeah.
But,
We don't need the greasy balls.
yeah, and there's the torsion hitch on a bumper pole, like with conventional trailer, and it's there's a lot to that. And of course, these all have before eight tubes. So
Yeah.
goosenecks have twice as many tubes, but you can see again the blocks and how they are, and a pinhole for each one. And yeah, that's when I saw that, I knew you had a winner going. Just when I saw the individual blocking that you do for those hitches for the ball shaft.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're starting goosenecks here with the torsion flex. Now this one here, I'm going to show this gauge. You have a gauge where you can kind of get an idea of what your tongue weight is, whether it's way too high or where you're at. But that's where that is. It's on the back side there, or the side where you can look over your truck side to kind of see where that gauge is for how much your tongue weight is. That particular hitch just goes clear up to 6,500 pounds on the tongue weight. Now you have them clear up to 7,500 pounds on a 3-inch ball, because now you got the big boys. So let's see what this next, yeah, and there's that same hitch, and that's on a square tube. So you've got 4-inch round, 4-inch square, 4.5-inch square.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And that one is kind of like a Spartan. And that one's got like 6 inches of frontal area, but this one works good if you got a lot of bed rail room, and we'll talk about that a little bit here. But you can see how heavy duty it is, and I like the little engraving you put on the back. You probably laser cut that puppy on there.
Mm-hmm.
And that looks awesome. And that's a heavy puppy. Now this was the original Pegasus that had 11-inch reach.
Yeah.
And do you still make that one? Because I know on a lot of horse traders, the big wing gussets cause problems with that much reach.
Yeah, then there's some people that still want that 11-inch offset, to push the trailer back away from the cab, if you will. And we still have this available. Yes, we're still going to make it.
Well, that's good, because the short bed trucks, even the heavy duties, I mean, they're still like a Ram is 6'4". You got 6'10" now on GM. You got 6'8". A lot of times you still need extra space to push the bed back and not hit your back window.
Right.
But here's the angle I was talking about with a wing gussets on a lot of these big horse traders. It just gets too close to the bed rail. So you also have a solution for that, which I was really glad to see, because, and that's what's so good about your product. When you want to know whether it fits or not, people get confused. They should call me, call you, whoever they can call as a Gen Y dealer in their area, and find out what exactly they need. Same way with tongue weights. I mean, I was so glad to see you have, to dial it in, you got a 25,000 pound gooseneck, it's a torsion hit flex, and you've also got 30,000 pound. And in between there, you go from 2,000 pounds clear up to 7,000 pounds, 7,500 pounds, whatever it is. So you can dial in your tongue weight even with the heavy duty hitch, so that the flexing is working right. And
right.
That's a really good way to do it. Now, hopefully I see it show that. Yeah, there's the low profile. Now that says Spartan, actually Pegasus. That was like one of the first prototypes. So you can see how much lower that goes, just like that original Pegasus with the 11-inch reach. And this is about a 9 or 6-inch reach, 5.5. Yeah. And so the whole idea is to slide the hitch up into the tube of the trailer to make it lower for these taller trucks.
Right.
So this hitch will do all that and not worry about, the wing gusset of the trailer getting too close to the bed rail. We've tested this out, and this is really nice. I mean, this is the next solution for that. And this is the Pegasus low profile. And then, now you got these big heavy duty couplers on all these. So you don't have to worry about that. But you can go clear up to, I think, is it 7,000 or 7,500 pounds on the big
7,000
one?
is what we've got.
Okay. That's that same hitch, and I've got videos of all the movement of it that it makes, and that's what's cool about it. And that's why you want to dial in your tongue weight as close as possible, because these are so heavy duty, and it takes a little bit of braking period, but because they're so heavy duty, you don't want to get it, a 7,000 pound tongue weight when you really only need 3, because the whole idea is to flex and separate the movement of the truck and the trailer, right?
Yeah, if you get the 7,000 pound on a 3,000 pound trailer, there's no suspension there to push it down. It's too heavy duty. So
yeah,
if you can imagine, it's similar to the the springs on your truck bed, if you think about that, you know, to explain this in simple, in a simple way. So, you know, if you put a bunch of weight on the pickup bed of your truck and you go down to the bump stops, there's no spring there, right?
Yeah.
No cushion there.
Yeah.
And a similar idea here. If you put too much weight on it, you'll max it out. And if there's too little weight, there's still not going to be any spring there because you have nothing on it, basically.
Yeah, and that's good. So that, you know, that's good to be able to dial it in to what's going to work best for your trailer. And, you know, it's, we've used these several times. We've tested them several times, and you can see the plate metal on these things. I mean, it's all powder coated, heavy duty. And yeah, it takes, when you put these in, you want to get a couple guys to help you because they are heavy. They're the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's, yeah, there's a side view of it, but that's, you know, this is, I'm just showing here the offset holes because, you know, a lot of these will have a through pin through them, and this gives you more variance on how, you know, how to line that up so you can keep that hitch straight. So,
and also, if you look at this one, Kent, you have the extended coupler on here for a recessed ball in the bed.
Yeah.
What we do is we make the neck longer, and the arms will miss your cutout, if you will, on the bed. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because the tube for the coupler is longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I should have showed that whole picture, but that's the one I could find. But yeah, it is. And that's good because a lot of people use flatbeds, and now, you know, with these stupid tall trucks, I mean, that's fine. If you want to jack the truck up, then go get a lift kit. But most people pull trailers, and you keep lifting them up there. It makes it so hard. We're all going to have to use flatbeds at some time. And that's the direction it's going.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got a solution for that, and that's good to see. Well, Carl, thanks. That was so good, the knowledge you have on hitches. And it's amazing how well you build these, and I've always been a big fan. And so hopefully folks will understand a few things and about the shear pin and the reducers and, you know, the lock pin that's coming. And you keep coming out with new products, and you got so many variants. I mean, you can use so many weight differences. And the slider is for the lighter trailers that you just came out with, because a lot of people are pulling those teardrop RV trailers, so that's good.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll actually have another version of that coming out here before too long. We're actually working on it right now. So yeah, I'm excited, and yeah, we'll keep pushing forward.
Well, that's good. And we'll see you at SEMA and maybe a few other places.
Yeah.
I think Andre and I are trying to get out there to visit you, but this would be good. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye. See you later, folks.